Good morning and shalom. Today we're going to start off with Genesis 31. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what belonged to our father he has made all his wealth. And Jacob would look at the face of Laban and see that it was not toward him as before. And Yahu'ah said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers, and to your relatives, and I am with you. And Jacob sent and called Rahel and Leah to the field, to his flock, and said to them, I see your father's face, that it is not toward me as before, but Yahu'ah of my father has been with me. And you know that I have served your father with all my strength. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But Yahu'ah did not allow him to do evil to me. When he said this, the speckled are your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled. And when he said this, the streaked are your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. So Yahu'ah has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. And it came to be at the time when the flocks conceived that I lifted my eyes and looked in a dream and saw the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and molted. And the messenger of Yahu'ah spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift your eyes now and see all the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and molted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the El of Beth-El, where you anointed the standing column, and where you made a vow to me. Now rise up, and get out of this land, and return to the land of your relatives. And Rahel and Leah answered and said to him, Do we still have any portion or inheritance in our father's house? Are we not reckoned by him as strangers? For he has sold us and also entirely consumed our silver. For all the wealth which Yahu'ah has taken from our father is ours and our children's. Now then do whatever Yahu'ah has told you. So Jacob rose and put his sons and his wives on camels, and he drove off all his livestock and all his possessions which he had acquired, his property of the livestock which he had acquired in Padam Aram, to go to his father Ishak in the land of Canaan. And when Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rahel stole the house idols that were her father's. And Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean, because he did not inform him that he was about to flee. And he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river, and headed toward the mountain of Gilead. And on the third day Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brothers with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But in a dream by night Yahu'ah came to Laban the Aramean and said to him, Guard yourself that you not speak to Jacob either good or evil. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tents in the mountains, and Laban with his brothers pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have deceived me and driven my daughters off like captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee secretly and deceive me and not inform me, and I would have sent you away with joy and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have been foolish to do this. It is in the power of my hand to do evil to you, but the Yahu'ah of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Guard yourself, that you do not speak to Jacob either good or evil. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Lest you tear your daughters away from me. With whomever you find your mighty ones, do not let him live. In the presence of our brothers, see for yourself what is with me, and take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rahel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tents of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he came out of Leah's tent and entered Rahel's tent. Now Rahel had taken the house idols and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my master that I am unable to rise before you, for the way of women is with me. And he searched, but did not find the house idols. And Jacob was wroth and contended with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my transgression? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Now that you have searched all my goods, what have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my brothers and your brothers, and let them decide between the 2 of us. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your sheep. That which was torn by beasts I did not bring to you. I myself bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was. By day the heat consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the Yahu'ah of my father, the Yahu'ah of Abraham, and the fear of Yishak had been with me, you would have now sent me away empty-handed. Yahu'ah has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rendered judgment last night. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine. But what shall I do today to these my daughters, or to their children, whom they have borne? And now come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and it shall be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a standing column. And Jacob said to his brothers, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. And Laban called it Yagar Shahurutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between you and me today. That is why its name was called Galeed. Also Mizpah, because he said, Let Yahu'ah watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, Yahu'ah is witness between you and me. And Laban said to Jacob, See this heap, and see this standing column, which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this standing column is a witness, that I do not pass beyond this heap to you, and you do not pass beyond this heap and this standing column to me for evil. The Yahu'ah of Abraham, the Yahu'ah of Nahor, and the Yahu'ah of their father rightly ruled between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Ishak. And Jacob slaughtered a slaughtering on the mountain, and called his brothers to eat bread. And they ate bread and spent the night on the mountain. And Laban rose up early in the morning, and kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. And Laban left and returned to his place. Genesis chapter 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the messengers of Yahu'ah met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of Yahu'ah." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, in the land of Seir, the field of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Say this to my master Esau, your servant Jacob said this, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. But I have bulls and donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent to inform my master to find favor in your eyes." So the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to your brother Esau, and he is also coming to meet you, and 400 men with him. And Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, so he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks and herds and camels, into 2 groups. And he said, "If Esau comes to the one group and strikes it, then the other group which is left shall escape." And Jacob said, "O Yahu'ah of my father Abraham, and Yahu'ah of my father Ishak, Yahu'ah who said to me, Return to your land and to your relatives, and I do good to you. I do not deserve the least of all the love and commitment, and all the truth which you have shown your servant. For I passed over this Yarden with my staff, and now I have become 2 groups. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and shall strike me and the mother with the children. For you said, I shall certainly do good to you, and shall make you your seed as the sand of the sea, which are too numerous to count." And he spent the night there, and took what came to his hand as a present for Esau his brother: 200 female goats, and 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 suckling camels with their colts, 40 cows, and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 foals. And he gave into the hand of his servants every drove by itself, and said to his servants, Pass over before me, and put some distance between drove and drove. And he commanded the first one, saying, When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, saying, To whom do you belong, and where are you going? And whose are these in front of you? Then you shall say, These are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my master Esau, and see, he also is behind us. So he commanded the second and third, and so on, all who followed the drove, saying, Speak to Esau this same word when you find him. And you shall say, Also, look, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, Let me appease him with this present that goes before me, and after that he sees his face, he might accept me. And the present passed over before him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford of Yabok. And he took them and sent them over the stream, and sent over what he had. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he did not overcome him, he touched the socket of his hip. And the socket of Jacob's hip was dislocated, and he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the days break." But he said, "I am not letting you go until you have beroot me." So he asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name is no longer called Jacob, but Yashrael, because you have striven with Yahu'ah and with men and have overcome." And Jacob asked him, saying, "Please let me know your name." And he said, "Why do you ask about my name?" And he said, "Blessed him here." And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Yahu'ah face to face, and my life is preserved. And the sun rose on him and passed over Penuel, and he limped on his hip. That is why the children of Yashrael to this day do not eat the sinew of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of the thigh of Jacob, and the sinew of the hip. Chapter 33. And Jacob lifted his eyes and looked and saw Esau coming, and with him 400 men, and he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 female servants. And he put the female servants and their children in front, and Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph's last. And he put himself passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and said, "Who are these with you?" And he said, "The children with whom Yahu'ah has favored your servant." Then the female servants came near, and they and their children, and bowed themselves. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed themselves. And Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed themselves. Then Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" And he said, "To find favor in the eyes of my master." But Esau said, "I have enough. My brother, let what you have remain yours." And Jacob said, "No, please, if I have now found favor in your eyes, then receive my present from my hand, because I have seen your face like seeking the face of Yahu'ah, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because Yahu'ah has favored me, and because I have all I need." And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, "Let us depart and go, and let me go before you." But he said to him, "My master knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and the herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flocks shall die. Please let my master go before his servant, and let me lead on slowly according to the pace of the livestock that go before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my master in Seir." And Esau said, "Please let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, Why this? Let me find favor in the eyes of my master." And Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob set out to Succoth, and built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. That is why the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padam Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city. And he bought the portion of the field where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 kistah. And he set up a slaughter place there and called it El Elohel Yashrael. Genesis chapter 34. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hittite prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her. And his being clung to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the girl and spoke kindly to the girl. And Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, Take this girl for me for a wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob kept silent until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved and very wroth, because he had done a senseless deed in Yashrael by lying with Jacob's daughter, which should not be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, My son Shechem's being longs for your daughter. Please give her to him for a wife. And intermarry with us, give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves. And dwell with us, and let the land be before you. Dwell and move about it, and have possessions in it. And Shechem said to her father and her brothers, Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I give. And ask of me a bride price, and gift ever so high, and I give according to what you say to me, but give me the girl for a wife. But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father, and spoke with deceit, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said to them, We are not able to do this matter, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. Only on this condition would we agree to you, if you become as we are, so they have every male of you circumcised. Then we shall give our daughters to you, and take your daughters to us. And we shall dwell with you, and shall become one people. But if you do not listen to us and be circumcised, we shall take our daughter and go. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young man did not delay to do this, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was more respected than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of their city, and spoke with the men of their city, saying, These men are at peace with us, so let them dwell in the land and move about in it. And see, the land is large enough for them. Let them take their daughters for us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition would the men agree to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us is circumcised as they are circumcised. Their herds and their possessions and all their beasts should they not be ours. Only let us agree with them, and let them dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. And it came to be on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of the sons of Jacob, Shimon and Lewi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks and their herds and their donkeys, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth. And all their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered all that was in the houses. And Jacob said to Shimon and Levi, "You have troubled me by making me a stench among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I am few in number, and they shall gather themselves against me and shall strike me, and I shall be destroyed, my household and I." But they said, "Should he treat our sister like a whore?" Genesis chapter 35. And Lewis said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Beth-el, and dwell there, and make a slaughter place there to El, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother." And Jacob said to his household, and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign mighty ones that are among you, and cleanse yourselves and change your garments. And let us arise and go to Beth-el, and let us make there a slaughter place to El, who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me in the way which I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign mighty ones which were in their hands, and all their earrings which were in their ears. And Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree which was near Shechem. And they departed, and the fear of Yahu'ah was upon the cities that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. And Jacob came to Luz, that is Beth-el, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all his people who were with him. And he built there a slaughter place, and called the place El Beth-el, because there Yahu'ah appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. And Deborah, Ribkah's nurse, died, and she was buried below Beth-el under the terebinth tree. So the name of it was called Alon Bakuth. And Yahu'ah appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padam Aram, and rebuked him. And Yahu'ah said to him, "Your name is Jacob, your name is no longer called Jacob, but Yashrael is your name." So he called his name Yashrael. And Yahu'ah said to him, "I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and increase. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you, and sovereigns come from your body. And let the land which I gave Abraham and Ishak I give to you, and to your seed after you I give this land." And Yahu'ah went up from him in the place where he had spoke with him. And Jacob set up a standing column in the place where he had spoken with him, a monument of stone. And he poured a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of the place where Yahu'ah spoke with him Beth-el. Then they set out from Beth-el, and it came to be, when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath, that Rahel began to give birth, and had great difficulty giving birth. And it came to be, as she was having difficulty giving birth, that the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, for it is another son for you." And it came to be, as her life was going out, for she died, that she called his name Ban-oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rahel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a standing column on her burial place, which is the monument of Rahel's burial place to this day. And Yashrael set out and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Adar. And it came to be, when Yashrael dwelt in the land, that Reuben went and lay with Bahal, his father's concubine. And Yashrael heard about it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, and Louis, and Yehuda, and Yishakar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rahel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rahel's female servant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's female servant, were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padam Aram. And Jacob came to his father Yishak at Mamre, or Kirath Araba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Yishak had dwelt. And the days of Yishak were 180 years. So Yishak breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, aged and satisfied of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him.